I do want to ask you about Jeremy Hunt, actually, because I feel very nervous about the prospect of him at number 10 Downing Street. And that is because of his response to the COVID-19 pandemic, primarily. And the fact that he was backing a authoritarian Chinese zero COVID policy. This is something that the mainstream media never talk about, but you have personal experience of that.
So yes, and interestingly, he's not denied what I've said about, because he can't.
He's refused to comment on it.
I've made sure that every conversation I had was documented. We knew inquiry was going to come. And I remember two things actually about Jeremy Hunt. One was meeting him just after I'd been made a health minister, just before COVID hit our shores. And I asked him what he was doing. Was he staying as an MP? And he said, oh yes, Boris can't deliver Brexit. Brexit can't happen. This government's going to fall on Brexit. I'm going to be here to make sure that I swoop in when that happens. So that was the first thing. The second thing was when COVID happened, Jeremy contacted me as a health minister and said, you've got to speak to Matt. It was at the time the Nightingale hospitals were being built. You've got to tell him that you
Matt Hancock.
Yeah, you don't put sick people in the hospitals. You follow a zero COVID policy. My wife's family have experience of this. When someone tests positive, you take them from their home and you take them to an isolation centre and you leave them there in the isolation centre. That's the only way you can beat COVID. And I said, Jeremy, the British public will not stand for mothers and fathers and families and children being removed from their family and their home and put in isolation. And he says, who said they won't? And I said, well, the Behaviour and Insights team who I've discussed this with, they won't wear it. And he said, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Show me the evidence for that, because I don't believe it. That's the way we have to deal with this, is a zero COVID policy. Now, we would still probably be in some sort of lockdown if Jeremy Hunt had been made Prime Minister.
Look at China today.
Instead of Boris Johnson.